Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Hey everyone, I'm Mac,
And I'm Zach.
and we're from Not So Average Tabletop. Today we're going to be doing our Chippy review for.
Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig.
Hey, we're going to go ahead and jump right in with core mechanics. What do you got?
Yeah, for core mechanics, I've got an 8 out of 10.
Ooh.
So it's pretty high for me, but I think it's the only game that kind of does the semi-co-op that we have. So for me, that probably bumps it up a little bit more, and maybe, if I played some more of those games, it would maybe bump it down a little bit, but just the uniqueness of that aspect and how well it really works together. And it kind of makes it more of an approachable game too that you can teach new people because of that. Because as long as you don't have everyone that knows the game all
Right,
together and all the
you
other
can
new
pair
people,
them up with someone who's played the game most likely. If
Right.
we're both there, at least. But chances are you'll have one on one side for sure.
right? And that way you can learn it. And I think it just works really well too, where working together, but at the same time looking kind of at the castles and being like, well, I don't want to make that one too good because maybe that player is with another player at the table that is really good. So maybe I want this one to try to be a little bit more or a little bit better than that one. But then at the same time, you don't want to really tank one of your castles either. And then just how that scoring works with your lowest castle being the one that you have to take is another interesting thing that I think really works in this game.
Yeah, I really appreciate that because it's so often you can get two people or one person can have two really good people on both sides and both their castles are going to be amazing. So, I really like that portion. I gave it a 7 because it really is just tile drafting and tile laying, which isn't bad. I mean, it's just that's really all there is to the game.
Right.
I think for me, like I don't really like competitive cooperative games, but this one I like because you're choosing a tile and there's no argument about whether or not you use that tile. Like it can't be thrown away. You have to use it, and so your teammate is just gonna have to live with what you chose. It might not be good, but it is what it is. I also think the reason I kind of rated it lower is because I I think it's hard. Maybe it's just in our friend group, but there are people who are better at this game than others, and depending on how you seat yourself around the table, it can be kind of a rough game because you can be looking around and just it's good to be patient, and I'm not saying that I understand, if you're a new player or something like that, but sometimes it just doesn't work super great for some people. And so I kind of just brought it down a little bit because of that, because you're so highly influenced by who's around the table. Like in our house, it's like, all right, Zach and Jesse can't sit together. Zach and Zach can't sit together. There are certain pairings that are like guaranteed pretty much. So that's the only reason I kind of just brought it down is because you can kind of game the game.
I think that's a fair rating.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you've said, we've played this a bunch of times. My history on the game is 10 out
Same.
of 10 plays, at least 10 plays for
Yeah.
sure. It's just one that I like to bring out if we have a lot of people.
Yeah, agreed. Investment. I gave it an 8. It's really easy to set it up because everything is in little organization trays. I think all you gotta do is kind of maybe shuffle them up a bit. And I think it's decent replay. I knocked it down a little bit. It's not a 10 for me because I feel like it's the same game just about every time. The only difference is who am I playing with and what kind of tiles am I having to work with. So other than that, it's kind of the same, and we kind of get into a groove of what rooms you like, but you don't always get them. But I think some people like different rooms better. So that's
Right.
just kind of why I put it down a little bit, but it's still really good.
Right. Yeah. That was one of the things I liked about the game is that the different rooms score slightly differently. That gives it a little bit of, you know, should we do these types of rooms or that types of rooms? But yeah, like you said, I think it can get repetitive. I'm wondering with the expansion if there's going to be additional room types. I don't know. Maybe there'll be new ones and they'll score slightly differently. But I'm not sure on that. And like you said too, I think the reason I give this a 7.5 is because of just how quickly you can set it up and tear it down with those inserts. You pretty much just make sure you shuffle them when you're done at the end of the game, and then you put 9 in there, and you're ready for already set up for the next game whenever you take it out again. Which Yes, and I think if it didn't have that insert,
Oh, it would be.
this game would, for the investment, I think it would be way lower.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that, that in a way makes the game. I think.
It does. It's just so easy and like I think of like Carcassonne, and like I know you're drawing things from a bag, but it's literally that amount of tiles that you're working with, or more maybe.
Mhm.
And if those weren't organized, you would just be
Right.
yeah. So.
Or if you had, if you had to make your own system, you could probably do it, but
Yeah.
But and because of that, I give the presentation a 9.5 out of 10
Oh.
because I think those game trays are amazing, and they, outside of maybe like Dwellings of Eldervale, which also has a nice insert that makes it ready for the next time you play. Or, I mean, you can set it up really quickly, even though it's a huge game. This one isn't a huge game, but it still is. The insert and stuff makes it so easy to set it up for your next play. I think that's probably one of the greatest things a board game can have. And also, I really like the tiles and the artwork. It's a little bit blah compared to the cover. Like, the cover makes it look like it's going to be like, some maybe bright, vibrant colors, and it's not. So that's why I ticked it down 0.5, just because I do like the artwork, but I wish it was a little more bright.
Yeah. I put it at an 8 because there's a lot of things, but I mean, going off of what you just said, it's not what I've come to know as Stonemaier Games artwork. It just doesn't feel as clean as his very recent games. I mean, it's busy. It's busy, and there are a lot of icons, and so it can take a little while to figure out what the icons mean, and then, at the bottom of this teeny tile with all this artwork is what you need to do with this tile in order to score it. So that's there's like 4 icons on the tile already. The tile is like this big, and
I don't know if the icons are that bad, but I do think if you don't have the greatest vision, the writing of what the tile needs is probably pretty small.
Yeah.
And I probably could have knocked it down a little bit for that as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's not terrible once you know what it is. You just have to figure out the icons because there's just a lot of them, and I'm not in love. Like, I love the inserts, but they don't fit together on the table. And like one of them, I appreciate a lot though that one of them is for like the special things that you can get, and then the other one is just the tiles. But they don't like fit together on the table. They kind of are awkward on the table, so I don't really like that. But the inserts themselves are really good. And I also am not in love with the box art. It's kind of representative of the game, but at the same time, it's like none of these I don't think are actually accurate representations of any of the castles of Mad King Ludwig. So, I don't know. It's picky. It's good.
I think
it's just not my favorite compared to other things we have on the shelf.
I think another thing that I like about the tiles is I think there's quite a few of them that have like little spoilers possibly in them, because all the tiles are different rooms. I don't think there's repeats outside of like the grand foyer and the special ones, but it's always nice, and some of the artwork has a few spoilers in it as well.
Yes, it does. The Easter eggs are nice. All right, preference.
I gave it a 7.25 out
of 10.
Pretty specific.
Splitting hairs.
I think it's one of my favorite games for 5 to 7 players. That if I was doing my preference rating on that type of game, then it would probably be a little higher. But otherwise, you probably need a minimum of 4 players to make it.
I'd almost say 5, but
right.
But, I mean, 4 is good too.
But it's quick enough with the insert and stuff that I still prefer it over quite a few other games, and it's enjoyable enough from game to game. I don't think, even though, like we said, the scoring and stuff on the tiles doesn't really change from game to game or anything, so it can feel a little repetitive.
But the tiles are different.
Right. And, all of a sudden you only get all these living rooms when you're like, I just need one other room type to finish my bedroom.
I just want a corridor, or I've got too many corridors.
Right, and then trying to figure out, well, what's the best way I can score points then, I guess. But, no, otherwise, it's really slick and a really quick game, so 7.25.
Yeah. I gave it just a little lower. I gave it a 7, which I think is still really good. I think what breaks it down for me is just that you have to have so many players, which is also a plus side for it. I mean, it's great to have on our shelf, and it's one that I absolutely love, having as a group game. I love it. It's so great. But at the same time, it rarely gets off because, it's just me and Zach, and if we want to play it, then we have to play with Ludwig. But as far as like cooperative games go, which I'm not a big fan of, I think this one is a great option for me, and it satisfies that little bit if Zach ever wants to play something more cooperative. So it's good. It's a great group game if you have a group that's kind of willing to play something I wouldn't say it's heavy, but I think people look at it and think it's heavy, just based on the tile amount. Which it's and just kind of knowing the icons and stuff and the different room types on top of that. So yeah, I think it's a great group game, and if you can get people to do it, all the more power to you. So
the it factor, I gave it a 6 because it's like that. I don't know how to describe it because it is a board game, but it's like a board gamey party game. In a way, it's kind of got the feeling of more of like some of the mid-weight type games, but yet it's a party game. And I know Jamie likes to say Stonemaier games are kind of like the main event game. I wouldn't say this one's so much a main event game for us. I mean, it could be if you're trying to bring a big group of people together at the end of maybe a game night or something. But I wouldn't say like, I don't know, if you're thinking a game like Scythe or Terraforming Mars or something as your main event game, I wouldn't compare this to even be close to something like that. This is more like along like Red Rising as well. I don't think kind of that type of feel.
Right.
But
I agree.
No.
I gave it a 6.5, so we're not too far off. I think it's really neat to play with others. The mechanisms aren't like super revolutionary, so we have a lot of options when it comes to something to do tile playing with or laying with. I do just overall love the theme of it. I think that really comes through for me because you literally are building a castle and you get these cute little castle tokens for no reason other than it's super fun. And so I really like it a lot. It's just, I would agree with Zach, it's not a main course game for me. It's going to be one that we're going to, exactly like Zach said, use to bring the group together or to kind of just get everyone at the table kind of thing.
Yeah, and lastly, I'd just say that it's probably, I would compare it to like a little heavier version of like Point Salad. I think it's an easier, you think the icons are a lot. Maybe I'm just thinking that it's easier than it really is, but
I think it's
feel
hard
like
to
the
learn
scoring
the
on the
icons.
bottom and stuff makes it like an easy one to know what you're trying to do. Like when you see it, you see like, oh, this
played
symbol.
Like 2 games maybe, but
I think it only takes 1 game. I don't know.
Agree to disagree. It's not terrible. It's just there are 2 mirrors, and then you just have to get used to it.
Are there 4 symbols for mirrors?
No, there's the round and the square. Then the torch and the swords. I don't know. I don't think
there's 4 symbols.
We'll
total.
Talk. We'll see. We'll see. We'll check.
But my final rating is an 8.1 out of 10. So it's still a very solid game, and I highly recommend it if you're looking for that type of game for 5 to 7 players or something.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for something for 2 players, it still is a good game, but it may not be as enjoyable.
Yeah, I gave it a 7.7, and I would absolutely agree with Zach on the recommendation. If you have a group of friends or people that you could see regularly playing this game, I think it's a great buy. But if it's just going to be you and a friend or your husband, probably not one you need on your shelf, but I would say it's a great thing to have. It's just really fun, I think.
But with the expansion coming soon, there's supposedly a solo version coming, so maybe there'll be something there that'll change even the 2-player and lower player count versions.
I don't know.
We'll see.
Expansions always make me nervous because if I like a base game, I'm like, oh, I don't know.
You don't think? I think this one has some room that it could grow, but we'll see what's in there.
We'll have to talk about this in a different. Are you guys with me? Expansions? No? Yes? Who knows? So that is everything on Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Thanks for watching our video today. Go check out our channel for all the other videos that we've done.
And keep on nibbling.
Cheers!